You all, and we'll crack on. Right. So, a bit of variation this morning. Kind of moving on a little bit for these last. Well, we've got today a couple more sessions and then 5 next week. So I wanted to kind of add on a little bit. So we'll see how we get on. And as always, feedback is very welcome. Right. Risk taking the jacket off. So we're going to start off with the frog rock backs. I've not done these for a few days. I'll see how we get on with those. So coming down onto your mat, onto all fours, same as usual. Go nice and wide with the knees. And then slightly wider with the feet as best you can, and turning the feet out so they're nice and flexed. Weight through the hands and then rocking forwards and backwards there. Just a little bit of an exploration. So I'm going to turn slightly sideways on so you can see what I'm doing pelvis wise. You want your tailbone up to the sky. So no tucking. Yeah, it doesn't want to look like this. Yeah, tailbone up. So you get deeper into the hips. Rock it forwards and back. And if you want to go a little bit further forward, you can kind of take that into a wrist stretch there. So you rock right over your wrist and take it into a wrist stretch. And I'm just holding, so getting some stretch into the wrist and then taking it back. So you can hold, while you're there, you can rock side to side. So I'm forward, shoulders well in front of my hands. And I'm just rocking side to side. So just taking some more movement into the wrists. As we spend quite a lot of time on wrists or on our hands and knees, it's a good place to get some strength training in when we're just using body weight. So the wrists get a bit of a beating. And then back to just rocking forwards and back, getting the hips going. Andrea's cat's joined us. My cat's just about to leave up its ladder. Disgust that she's not getting any attention this morning. And then coming down onto the elbows, same thing, keep the tailbone lifted to the sky. Don't let it kind of curve under. Tailbone lifted. Just rocking forwards and back. Again, if you want to make this bigger and add in a little bit of arm work, you can clasp the hands together and then take your nose right over down to the floor and then push the floor away with your forearms. Get a little bit of, well, I suppose it's a little bit of an arm workout. It's like a dolphin in yoga. You're just working through those positions, forward and back, deep as you want to go. And I'm just going to wriggle back onto my mat just so it doesn't hurt my knees on the concrete as I do this next bit. So coming back up onto your hands, I'm going to do the rotation of the thigh. So you rock back. As you go forward, you're going to turn the knee down into the ground and lift the foot up, like it's trying to come up to your shoulder. So it's rotation of the thigh, comes back down exactly where it was, and then rock back. So you're rocking forward, lifting one foot, rocking back as the foot comes down. I've seen this taught where you kind of keep everything else nice and stable. So looking forward and the leg comes up. I kind of like looking, I kind of like twisting slightly to look at my foot. It just feels like a nicer movement. Just a little bit of rotation. Up to you. There's no right or wrong really. I'm just mobilizing the hips. Couple more. And rock it back and then finish coming onto your knees, tucking the toes under, and into a little squat exploration. So toes are tucked and go slightly wider with the knees, bring the hands down so that you can use the hands to help just push you up into the bottom of a squat. And you might have your heels down, you might have one heel down like I do this morning, or you might have both heels up depending just where you're at, and that's fine. And all we're going to do from there is just push out, elbows into knees, and just twisting the hips, if you like, from side to side. Again, it's just an exploration, and there's no kind of right or wrong. Just letting the hips move. And then from there, again, planting the hands, and go as wide with the feet as you need to get down into the bottom of a squat. And then plant the hands and straighten the legs up. So you're straightening the legs as much as they will. If they're not quite straight, that's okay. We get that little bit of a hamstring stretch, possibly, and then sink back down. So sink back down into your squat, a little bit of a wiggle at the bottom, plant the hands, straighten the legs. Sink back down, a little bit of a wiggle at the bottom, plant the hands, straighten the legs. You get the idea. Wiggle at the bottom, don't fall over like I nearly did. And then plant the hands, straighten the legs. When you straighten the legs, you want to really lift the tailbone up to the sky. It'll give you more stretch in the hamstrings. If you're slightly bendier than the average bear, yeah, if you're a little bit stiffer like me, you might not get your tail up quite as high. And then sink back down and rock side to side again. And then from there, planting the hands, walking out onto the mat. So you're coming into all fours. So you're going to keep your knees under hips, so vertical thigh. And you're going to take your right hand out into the middle of the mat. So it's coming out into the middle of the mat, and the other hand is going to go underneath. So coming into a rotation. So by the time you get here, you're sort of working this top hand round so that the arm is near the ear. And this bottom hand, I'm going to get my mic, this bottom hand is kind of reaching as far as you can. Now, you can use the top hand and the bottom arm to push into the floor to rotate you even further around. So I'm actively pushing and trying to get my, I don't know, top armpit up to the sky. Hold and breathe. Each exhale, if you could twist a little bit further. Nice rotation stretch, and then release out of that. And then we do the same on the other side. So left arm, in fact, I'll do it this way and then I can face you guys. Left arm reaching out, right arm coming under, and then just work everything as round as far as it will go. So you're working this top arm round as far as it will go and reaching out with the bottom arm as far as you can. And then using both arms to push into the mat to twist you around. God, is anyone else tighter on one side? So I felt like my armpit was facing the sky before on the other side. This side feels like I'm made out of stone. Breathe, she says. And slowly release out of that. Turning back round so I can see what my notes say. Oh yes, that's what we were doing today. Right, so we've been working on our 4-point kneeling position in this kind of 4-point bridge. There's a reason why I've been banging on about that for so long. It's because it leads into crawling. So we're going to have a play with crawling today. So we're going to try forward and back first, and then we might try side to side. So the idea is, we'll do it without lifting the knees first. The idea is with crawling, is it takes you back to sort of an infant development pattern. So when you were babies, we all started to crawl and we kind of lose the patterning a little bit. So you want opposite hand, opposite leg moving at the same time. So just have a little play with crawling along your mat and then crawling backwards. It's usually the backwards where everybody's brain explodes. It's not rocket science. It's just getting your brain to coordinate arms and legs, opposite arm, opposite leg, moving at the same time. And the things I'd be looking for are sort of this collapsing into the spine and the shoulders and kind of getting into this hunched position and kind of want to stay long. I suppose it's handy to, me and Andrea get this, it's handy to think like a cat at this point. You know, cats kind of slink along, they're all long, like a lion. So you're all probably going, oh God, that's easy. It's a doddle, no problem at all, can do that, can manage that. So let's try it with the knees off, shall we? So we love a challenge first thing in the morning. Right, so get yourself set up so you're properly in all fours, good all four position, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Make sure you've pushed the floor away so you're not sagging into your shoulders and your neck. So push the floor away, get nice and long, nice and tall, and then hover the knees. And then when you're ready, go for a little crawl. So opposite hand, opposite leg. When you get to the end of your mat, backwards we go. And it'll be the backwards where you start to kind of bunch up into that hunched position. So see if you can keep long. So forward and back along your mat. And when you've gone a couple of times, forward and back. Have a rest in the middle. It's trickier than it looks. So this is what I tend to see when we're doing this kind of stuff. People start crawling and the butt starts coming up. It looks a bit like this. And that's fine. You know, that's kind of where we start. We always make it big to start because it's something new. Eventually you want your legs to come down so that everything stays the same level. So you're not bouncing up and down. Let's try the side to side. So side to side, say I'm going, I'll come towards you first. So my left hand travels towards my right. And it's that kind of closing in movement. Left hand travels towards right and then the right moves out. Left leg moves in, right leg moves out. You get what I mean when we get into it. So let's go. I'm going to start at the front of my mat. Hover the knees. Bring your left hand towards your right as your right leg moves out towards the side. So then right hand moves as left leg moves. So side to side, left to right. They kind of close in. So as the legs are closed, the hands are open. As the hands close, the legs open. So if my left hand moves towards my right hand, my right leg moves out to the side. My right hand moves out, my left leg moves in. Left hand moves in, right leg moves out. I hope it's not just me who's kind of panting at this point. And rest when you need to. Well done. Right, so let's just try a box or a square. A square is probably a better way of saying it. So we go forward, side, back, side, yeah? And maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 steps, if you like, 3 or 4 steps each way. Work your way around your mat. So I'm starting off with forward. So forward, 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 pause, get the hands level, side, 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 back, 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 side, 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 and back to the end of my mat. Did you make it? Well done. So just coming off your wrists for a moment, if you haven't already, give them a twirl. In fact, let's do a proper wrist stretch. Let's do some wrist stretching while we're here. So come back to all fours. We're going to stretch them the other way. So I'm going to get you to sit back with your bum towards your heels and then turn your wrists over or turn your hands over. So fingers are down, back of the hand towards the mat, and then you come up and over and only as far as you can cope. So some of us will be slightly bendier through the wrists and you might get to the point where your wrists are down. You play with that movement there. So you can use your body weight to gently stretch out your wrists. We're not going to be here long. And then come up off your wrists, go back the other way, and this time turn your hands around. So your fingertips are pointing towards your knees, and then you rock back from there. Nice and gentle. I'm only going to do a few of these. And then come up off your wrists. You can give them a twirl there if you need to. Okay, so coming into the anchored bridge, we did this, we've been playing with it for a while. So it's the one where we're squeezing in the thighs, you've only got a very slight knee bend, and you're lifting the hips up. So ideally, you want your legs lifted. And if I can think on, I'll do this in the group at some point, so you can have a play with it, because it's a specific strength exercise for hamstrings for running. So usually you'd have your legs up here somewhere, but for our purposes, and to keep it, you know, equipment free, we're down on the mat. So it is what it is. Birds, usual story, very slight knee bend. The more you bend the knees, the less impact you get on your hamstrings. So as little knee bend as you could get away with, you do need some. Really flex the feet, squeeze the inner thighs, and just lifting the hips up. Just for this first one, we're just going to lift and hold, so you get the idea. You really want to pull the feet back and squeeze the inner thighs. There your main focus, squeezing, pulling, and then lower back down. All right, so we're going to pulse, we're going to lift and lower. So I'm going to squeeze and pull, and we're going to lift, touch, lift, touch, lift, touch, lift, touch. Keep going, and I'm just going to prattle on about pulling the feet and squeezing the inner thighs. Pull, squeeze, pull, squeeze. Don't let either of those things go. Keep pulsing, keep squeezing, keep pulling. We go 5, 4, 3, 2, and last one. Well done. Good. Bend the knees in. If you need to straighten them up to the sky, give them a little walk to lengthen the back of the leg. And then coming to our side plank. So your choice, because we're going to be doing, we're going to pulse these as well. So we're going to be coming up, touch, yeah? So your choice, legs out or legs bent. So you've got your half option or your long option, whichever is not easiest, but go with the easiest, whichever one you can control, your choice though. Legs stacked or separated if you need some balance. But as usual, keep nice and long, shoulders open, and we're going to lift and lower from there. So up, touch gently, up, touch gently, up, touch gently. So pulsing rather than holding. Last 2. Last one. And switching sides. Elbow into shoulder, legs out long or bent, which is your choice. Or you can even do this one. You can you've got your 3/4 option if you like. Same thing on this side. Lift, touch, lift, touch. And see if you can get your hips as high as possible. So you're really working into this underside. Think about pushing down with the bottom foot, which will help you get some work into the side glute. We go 3, 2, last one, and release it down. Well done. So coming back, that was your wrist break, by the way, all of that. So coming back to all fours. So, like I say, this knee hover takes us to all sorts of places. It's going to take us now from a knee hover to a side sit. Right, so if you want to watch the first one, feel free. Not often I do a demonstration, I usually talk you through it, but it's a little bit easier to watch. So the knee hover, fine, yeah. You're going to take your knees to whichever side. Your feet are just going to twist in place, and you're going to bring the hip down. Don't change anything at the feet. That's the trick. Don't change anything. Leave them where they are. And then pushing the floor away with the arm, the standing arm. You're going to lift up and rotate back. And there might be a little bit of jiggery-pokery to do with the feet to get you back where you were, but that's okay, yeah? So coming with me then, hover the knees, twist the knees to one side, let the feet windscreen wiper. You're taking your weight through the standing arm and letting your bottom come down. Yeah, that is pretty good. You're all there, great stuff. Going back, you're gonna really use that bottom arm to push you up. It's a bit like a side plank position, a bit, same sort of muscle groups, and then twist and come back to all fours. And again, if you need to sort of just alter your position so you're nice and long again, that's fine. Same on the other side. Twist and sink the hips down. And coming back to your all fours. And the name of this movement is completely eluding me. I cannot remember what it's called. It will come to me afterwards. Try again on the other side. I'll do it again on the other side. You all seem to be managing really well. And then coming back. And then placing the knees down and just come off your wrist for a moment. So the idea with these kind of flowing movements, like an animal flowing movement, is it's all about the control. So you want to land as softly as possible. If you can't do it slow, you shouldn't be doing it fast. So that's why we're doing it super slow to start with. I'm just waffling to give you a break. Right, back we go. I'm going to do it again. So knee hover, twist, and sink. Bring it back, knee hover, straight to the other side. Sink your butt down. Nice and controlled. Switch all the way over. Keep going. So I'm just going from side to side through that knee hover as smoothly as I can possibly manage. Notice I'm picking my hands up at the end. It just gives the wrists a break. I'm loosening the hands off now. So I'm not putting as much wrist or effort through the wrists. Couple more, because we're going to add on to this eventually. Last one. And back to center. Organize your knees and your hands so you're nice and long, and then put the knees down. Marvelous. Good, good. All right, going to standing then. Reaching lunges. So been here before, plenty of times. Let me just move this so I can get my head in shot. So we use the balance as well, but to start with, let's go right leg, left arm. So why is my head not in shot this morning? All I can see is Andrea's legs, but that's all right. I don't need to see your head, Andrea. Apologies for the close-up of my nostrils. Ah, that's a bit better. Right. So right leg is going to step. So left arm up. Nice big step. Organize your lunge, get balanced. Reach it forward. Back to vertical. Push away. And then we're going to step back. Same leg, but we're going to step backwards this time. So back. Reach the arm. Come back to vertical. Step forward. So we're just combining the two. Stepping forward and back instead of one at a time. So step forward. Reach. Come back up. Push away. Step back. Reach, back vertical, step up. And now if you want to add in the balance, you can do. So we step forward, you reach, come back up, push up to balance, step back, ooh, reach, come back up, step up to balance. So you get the idea. Work through a few more. Last one, whichever way you've landed is fine. And release. So we're going to use the opposite arm to the leg that's going to step forward first. So opposite arm up, opposite leg steps forward. Reach. Back to vertical, step back lunge, reach, arm up, step forward. Your choice if you want to add in the balance now. Stepping forward and back. Ooh, nearly lost it. Making this your last one. Finishing off in your balance position and releasing the foot down. And then stepping out, whichever leg, doesn't matter. In fact, yeah, let's do right leg. Step forward with the right leg. I'm going to plant the left hand down next to the foot. And then you're going to reach the right arm up to the sky. So back to that rotation that we did at the start. Similar. Using the arm that's on the floor to rotate you around that little bit further. Don't reach with the top hand. You want to twist from the chest. So if we took the hand away, you'd still be rotating. You're not just pulling the hand back. The hand stays in line with the body. And slowly release. Coming up out of that, and then switching sides. A nice long position. Should turn around so I can see you. Nice and long. Hand plants next to the foot, and then twist and open the chest. This front knee, push it out so that you might feel a little bit of work down into the glute then as well. Use the bottom arm to push you around a little bit further. Breathe and hold. And slowly release. Pop yourself up out of that. Coming down onto the mat. One last one, the shoulder stretch. My favorite shoulder stretch. So we're going to go arm straight out to the side. This hand, opposite hand. Use that to help push you over. So you get one cheaty one where the front of the shoulder drops to the mat. You see how far you can go. Rotate back. Other arm out to the side. Rotate over. Knee pointing to the sky as best you can. And coming back. And then no more cheating. No more cheating. So lift the front of your shoulder away from the floor. Then rotate over. And breathe. You should feel it as a stretch into the chest now, or the front of the shoulder. It is actually one of your chest muscles, but it feels more like the front of your shoulder. Keep the front of your shoulder lifted. And rotate back. Same again on the other side. Front of the shoulder lifted, away from the mat as best you can. So you're not just flopping into it. Yeah, it's not just a passive floppy stretch. Breathe, breathe, breathe. And then slowly release. Come up onto all fours, toes together, knees apart, sink down into a child's pose. Letting the armpits relax down to the floor. So I'm kind of, when your palms are down, it tends to rotate your shoulders inwards. I want you to try and, I like to rotate my arm kind of on the edges of my hands, the little fingers of my hands. So I'm rotating my arms out and then sinking down. So you get more of a stretch or a deeper feeling into sort of this area rather than just a pinchy shoulder feeling. Breathing while you're there. And then releasing. I think that should see us about right. Shuffle over here. Glad I didn't get wet. I think it's just about to chuck it down again. I'm dropping very lucky with the weather at the moment. I feel very, very blessed. It tends to rain while I'm not outside. How did we get on? Give me a thumbs up if we coped with that. Does anybody want to slap me? No? No?
That's very different.
It was different, yeah. It's kind of where we've been going. That's kind of where I wanted to get to, but there was that sort of basic work that I felt like we needed to do first rather than throwing you in at the deep end. Was it too much too soon? No? Okay, good. Any questions? Anybody want me to break anything down? No?
No.
We all good? Yeah? Okay,
Yeah.
well, we'll keep going with that, and then next week we'll add on a little bit more.
Yeah. Can I ask you where you got your cat ladder from?
My dad made it.
Oh.
She went missing. She went missing for a month a couple of years ago. Well, yeah, 2 Christmases ago. And when we finally got her back, she was skin and bone, so she was really, really weak, and she couldn't get up and out of the fence anymore. So he made her that cat ladder, and we've just kept it because she loves it. She uses it all the time. So yeah. So my dad made it, I'm afraid. I'll ask him if you want to ask him.
Maybe I can sort of zoom in on the picture and have a look.
I'll drop a picture of it in the group for you. It's not
Okay,
a
cool.
difficult, yeah, it wasn't a difficult one. You just need B&Q and that's a good one.
Thank
All right,
you.
thanks, chaps.
Goodbye. Bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.